The first thing you need to do is make doctor's appointments. You need to make sure that your children are up on all their immunizations, any doctor's appointments, any dental appointments. That way you don't have to worry about it while you're on your cruise. If there's anything that happens, you know what their medical status was before you embarked. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching our channel. Today we will be talking about the top things that you need to do, actually 12 that you need to do 30 days before your cruise if you're traveling with the family. So let's get started. The next thing, and it comes right along with this, is refilling any medications that are necessary. Say you have a child that's asthmatic, diabetic, whatever it may be, make sure you refill those medications and make sure you get a little bit extra so that you are able to take some with you just in case your cruise ship is delayed or caught in a storm. And we know that's happened several times in the last month, so it's always best to err on the side of caution. The next tip number 3, is to gather all of your documents. This means gathering your passport if you're traveling by passport. A passport is usually needed when you're traveling to another country and is considered something other than a closed loop cruise. And let me explain what a closed loop cruise is. A closed loop cruise is when you are traveling from the United States and ending in the United States. So if you are not traveling with a passport, then you need to travel with a birth certificate. That is okay in the event of traveling in a closed loop cruise. Say you're going to Mexico from California and you're arriving right back to California. That's a closed loop cruise. You can use a birth certificate. That's okay. Another thing you need to get together is your ID. And I'm not just talking your ID. I mean your children's ID. Yes, their school ID, their state ID, either one you would want to have on hand just in case anything happens and you guys need to verify your identity. Most middle schools and high schools do provide an ID for your children. Another thing you need to do is make a list of all medications for you and your family and keep it within all of your documents. I say this because some people take pain medications, even young people, and you just want to be able to prove that the medication that you're taking was actually prescribed to you, especially because cruise ships are cracking down on illegal drugs and things of that nature. You don't want anything to catch you up going through customs, coming back, or getting onto the ship. Next, you will need to get your emergency contact info together. Now this is very, very key because at 30 days before your cruise, you are able to check in on some lines. Since this is Carnival specific, that would not apply. However, it is a good idea to get that information together as early as possible. If you are traveling as a family like we always do, or often do, I should say, you do need to have a person outside of your traveling party that you can use as an emergency contact. If you, your husband, or your partner and your children are going on the cruise and you're each other's emergency contact, well, that's just not going to work in certain situations. So you would want to have that information available. The next thing you would want to get together is the account that you will be using on your onboard spending. So we will get a little bit more into how that works a little bit later, but it is very, very important for you to determine what account you will be linking to your sell and sign cards. If you're going to use one account, if you're going to use 2 accounts, that's something you need to work out 30 days ahead of time so you can put that information in once check-in is available. Your next tip is to check the travel advisory. Now, this is not necessary if you use a travel advisor, and the reason why I'm saying that is, as a travel advisor, I do keep my clients abreast on what the travel advisories are depending on where they're traveling. For instance, myself and a few family members will be traveling in July to Mexico. There are parts of Mexico that are right now under a red warning, meaning that you should not go. Where we're traveling to is under a beige warning, which means you should take caution and be extra careful due to robberies or thefts in the area. So if you're working with a travel advisor, they can definitely assist you with that part. If not, I will have it linked below, the United States Department Travel Advisory that you can go website you can go to check what it may be in your area that you're traveling to. The reason why that's important is because it helps you decide what you're going to do once you get into port. Now, as I stated, my family and I will be traveling to Mexico several times this year. We are not traveling in areas where there is a high advisory. However, there are some family members that are concerned, and with good reason. And so they have decided not to take part in any excursions and not to basically leave the general port area. The next thing you will want to do, and I do it quite often, is to check the weather. I am obsessed with checking the weather 30 days before my cruise, 10 days before my cruise. Like, honey, I'm checking that weather constantly because number one, weather can change, and it changes very quickly, especially when you're traveling to the Bahamas, the Caribbean, and the time of year. Right now, this time of year, it is a bit more volatile because you're going into hurricane season. It is time for you to be checking the weather like all the time when you're getting ready to cruise now. And that information can be used to help you create a packing list, which is, coming up, right? I use AccuWeather to check the weather where I'm traveling to. I don't care if it's the United States or beyond, 30 days before, because they have that information. The Weather Channel typically does not have that information, but I will use it close as I get closer to my sailing. So AccuWeather.com and theweatherchannel.com, I'll have those linked below as well. Now, when you're checking the weather, more than just letting you know what it might be like and what excursions you might want to take part in, it also helps you determine your packing list. And your packing list is the next tip. The packing list is something that you should start 30 days before. This gives you enough time to try on your outfits, figure out what you want to wear, see if you gained weight, hopefully you lost weight, you're looking really snatched in that outfit, and you don't have to purchase anything. But if you do have to purchase, it gives you enough time to do the next thing, which is to create a shopping list. And we do have a cruise budget packing and shopping list that I will link below that you can use to keep yourself on track. It is downloadable. It does not have to be printed out. You can just download it through Google Sheets. And if you have an Apple device, then I believe it's called Numbers, but it does work for both. All you need to do is put your email in and we'll give you access to that. So go ahead and feel free to use that, and I'm going to link it in the description as well as in our bio. Okay. My next two tips are kind of old school, but they might need to be used, and I'm just going to give you my little story on why. And that would be to contact your cell phone company. You want to verify what coverage you have and how it works in the country where you will be traveling. I used to work for a cell phone company, and I'm just going to give you some knowledge that I have, is that roaming charges for data are huge, and they can be quite expensive. You will want to check to see if your cell phone company has any coverage in the country you will be traveling to. Ask about possible cruise ship calling plans and text packages. Now, I just had to do that for a client. I just called up and said, hey, I'm traveling so-and-so. How much does it cost? Do you have a pay-per-use? Now, my own personal knowledge is the major cell phone companies, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, even Metro, if you still have that, has coverage in certain countries. And some of those do offer cruise ship packages. Now, it's very, very important that you find out what they cover. That means the amount of data that is covered, the amount of text that's covered, and the number of minutes that are covered. And you want to make sure that you understand that sometimes your package may work in conjunction with those plans. Basically, just contact your cell phone company and see what they have to offer. The second thing is to contact your credit card company. Now, let me tell you about my story with that one. So we went on a trip to Mexico. I do it all the time. I never thought to contact my credit card company because I travel all the time. I did not contact my credit card company, and I went to go purchase some tequila in Mexico, and they blocked me. I got on the phone, I verified who I was, I did everything I was supposed to do. Capital One, I love you. Thank you for watching out for us, sister. I'm glad for that, but it was a little irritating because by the time the block was lifted, because it did take a few hours, I was already out of Mexico. So luckily I had cash on me where I could cover my purchases, but you don't want to be in that spot. So make sure that you contact your credit card company and let them know that you're traveling. If you are a frequent traveler, you probably don't have to do that just because you're going on a cruise, but it does make sense to try it anyway. My next tip is for you to download your cruise line's app. When it comes to Carnival, you're not necessarily able to do a whole lot other than to look at what shore excursions are there. You can schedule or purchase your specialty dining. You can purchase some spa activities. You can do your photo purchases. But with Carnival, you have the option to get information on the liquor policy. And I will be doing an updated video on the liquor policy. But in addition to the liquor policy, it gives you the dress code. It gives you a list of the prohibited items. It also gives you information about what a sell and sign card is, what are the policies for that. It's a whole host of information that you can get just from downloading your cruise app. So it's always best to do it when you're on your own Wi-Fi, when you're on land, and you don't have to worry about internet service. So let's go ahead and get that done before you get on the ship. If you have not done so, and you're 30 days before your cruise, I suggest you book your hotel fare and your transfers. Now, if you've waited this long to book your hotel fare, it might be a little bit more expensive. It might not. It's best to get those options well ahead of the 30 days. But at the 30-day mark, you need to have made a decision on how you're going to get there and when you're going to get there. Now, the best practice with cruising is that you get to the cruise ship, well, at least you get into the city at least 24 hours before your cruise ship is supposed to sail. Anything can happen. You can have, well, like we're seeing this weekend. I'm recording this, right before the 4th of July weekend, and we have a lot of flights that have been canceled, delayed, or what have you. And I just saw on the news that somebody missed their cruise because their flight was canceled. That's a lot of money. You don't want to be out of that money, so you do want to try to come in a day ahead of time, and you do want to allow for your transfers from the hotel to the cruise ship and from the airplane or airport to the cruise ship. And finally, my number one tip: contact your kids' school or teachers to arrange for assignments or tests. I hardly ever hear anybody talk about this, but this is something that we do constantly. If you can travel during the school year with your children as long as you plan ahead. If they have finals, well, clearly you don't want to travel during that week, but maybe 3 weeks before or a month before, where they have a little bit less work going on, and you can contact the teacher and say, hey, we're going to be out of town. Can you allow my child to be late on this assignment? Can you allow my child to be early on this assignment? And they usually will work with you because they understand families are different. We travel, we move at different ways, different places. Now, if you've enjoyed this information, then please go ahead, take a look at one of our other videos regarding cruising with the family and how you can save money on your next cruise. Again, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoy your day.